Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We have a bunch of results over the past weekend, 2 WGPs, actually 3 including 1 in Japan, as well as Bucharest Springfest Manila. Lots of results to cover and some few interesting decks to kind of look through, as well as I guess seeing what the trends are like for standard and just kind of seeing what decks are prominent in the set 2 meta and how that kind of translates into the western side once we get it. If you guys need any coaching, Metafy link is in the bottom right hand corner. Feel free to book a session and we can get started. If you guys haven't already, click that subscribe button for all notifications on this channel. So starting off with Springfest Manila, I think every deck here, maybe other than Jeva, is formidable, right? I think the meta at the moment is as meta dog as it gets, like the first team, so Luaj, Shunui, and Prism. And then the second team bringing Prism, Shunui, and Shamu. Third is Zorga, Masque, Shunui, and Jeva. So I guess the 2 picks on the third team are a little bit obscure because I think a lot of teams would opt to just bring Shunui and Prism. But then I guess the 4th team, so I think this is Daniel Gonda's team and Sean Chua's team, bringing in Vivace, Jujut Ignis, and Shunui. I think Jujut Ignis is a deck that is just missing this bit, and I think set 1 and set 2 really give that bit extra that brings it straight back up to the top, and we saw that in our previous meta analysis video as well. So yeah, very cool results. Nothing too out of the ordinary, maybe just the Jeva, but Jeva with an extra added 4 cards is really good. We don't have the promo yet, the Maiden promo. That Maiden promo actually makes Jeva really strong. But yeah, that is for standard. And then jumping to tri-regulation, so Daniel Gonda's team, Sean Chua's team came first, so they brought Gurgit, Shunui, and Gridora. I'm pretty surprised on the Gridora pick, but maybe that's because a lot of people are anticipating, well, that team anticipated that there'll be a lot of superior calling decks, and as you can see, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are all superior calling decks. So yeah, I guess it worked well in their favor. 2nd place brought Jewel Knight, Prism, and Steam Maiden, so we'll look at the Steam Maiden list in a sec. 3rd place took Chronojet, Shunui, and Katrina, and then 4th place took Anj, Prism, and Night Rose. So just looking at the Steam Maiden list, this is very similar to the list that Dave Eck played for the World Invitational. Also, I think it's very similar to the deck that he played at Worlds as well. Pretty much like 1 Uluru, you don't really need that too much. You have your Jet to ride up if you're going first into Time Reaper caught Enterana then is able to Soul Blast your Chronojet out and then ride back down to grade 2, forcing your opponent to stride into the History Collection stride, and then obviously your Elul as your main Steam Maiden grade 3. Cats is broken, everything else just kind of simulates the deck in the way that you want to. Very strong deck. And you know, it's very combo heavy, so if you guys like combo decks, this is probably a deck to pick up. Then looking at also another GC deck, the 3rd place V Premium list, this is playing Mystery Flares, so extra turns. If I'm not mistaken, this may be the same player that played against me in the last round of BCS. I am unsure, but if you are, say hi. This deck is actually really scary. I think I had to sit on like a Lambros grade 4 for like the longest time. And then, yeah, pretty much you have to survive through an extra turn, and not a lot of decks can do that. And this deck with the puppy pretty much accelerates to the given number that you need to get the extra turn. 4/4 Jet, because Jet obviously, you know, you have to jump to Mystery Flare and then reanimate Dragon to be able to bind stuff, churn through your deck, and then you're playing just full out crits, don't even care. 12 crits, what could go wrong, right? So that's that, very cool list. Then jumping to Springfest, WGP Singapore. So season 1 of WGP Deluxe in Singapore. The top 8 consisted of 3 Shunui, 2 EVA, one of the older decks that is coming back into the format, 1 Welstra, Prism, and Jujut Ignis. Then the top 4, 1st and 2nd, were both taken by EVA. 3rd was a Shunui, and 4th was the new Welstra. So we do have a list or two. So I think this one is the 1st place EVA list. So EVA got real buffed because of the little monster promo here. And obviously you're now playing the research order to be able to essentially dig for this, dig for your PGs, dig for your wavy loss and your recyclers. And you're pretty much able to just churn through your deck. But I think the most important thing is that this allows you to jump to Poison EVA, which makes the multi-attack free. And then obviously, the deck still has Beefy Shield in your grade 3 Obscurade. And you've really cut down on your Obscurades to be able to have, I guess, space for other things like your Combine Rushes and some of your other orders and monster units as well. So yeah, EVA, one of the, I say, new returning decks into the format, and I think we will see a lot more EVAs in the future. Then we do also have the Jejuled Ignis list. So this is the top 8 list, very blinged out. So respect to this player. Yeah, I think the Cycler card really makes this deck strong, as well as this new grade 1. This new grade 1 essentially is a top 3. Add 1 to hand, 1 to field, or no, one to field, 1 to soul, 1 to discard. And then it essentially fuels every other part of the deck. So like Nocturcio, this deck isn't running the Ristal Gala and opted to run the Overtrigger grade 3. But otherwise, you're cutting your grade 1 search Draco Kid for your Ignis, because you're essentially able to find that. If you draw Forbidol, that's pretty much a 5th copy of Ignis. And then your grade 2s, you're just Energy Blasting 3. That's the only Energy Blasting unit in your deck, essentially. So you will have times where you just drop a grade 2, Energy Blast 3, draw 1 when you're guarding, and it feels really, really good. So yeah, very, very strong list, and I think this is probably the Jejuled list going forward. Obviously, personal pick on the secondary grade 3 or tertiary grade 3. Then jumping to WGP Deluxe Season 1 for Indonesia. So again, 3 Shunui, but this time 2 Raziel, 1 Varga, 1 Orfist, which is actually very surprising to me, and 1 Blangmire. Then looking at the top 4, first place was taken by Raziel, second was Shunui, third was Jovan with Orfist Masque. We'll take a look at the deck in just a sec, and then fourth was Leonardo Kevin with Blangmire. So the first list is Raziel. I think this is the olden ride line grade 1 at least. But otherwise, you're playing the Tefelt Wisdom combo. Biscotti is just really good. Selgaun's really good. You have your counter charge grade 1, painkillers for the early game. And this new grade 2 is pretty good. I think it boosts Raziel slightly, not too much that it becomes overpowered, but I think it's impactful enough to essentially take 3 spots in the deck. But yeah, that's pretty much Raziel. Then the second list is Shiranui. Actually, it's a pretty good time to kind of talk about Shiranui, obviously because of the new ride line fix and the ban to the OT. So you're now playing the red OT, which is pretty much equivalent to kind of the Drag Vader, except you don't get 3 drive checks. You essentially get an extra attack on the rear guard, which is already strong, right? You're obviously not getting the unfair draw 3 for no apparent reason. But the deck itself, you're playing Genkai as your grade 2 now. You're substituting your what would have been Izasuo for the Cycler card, and then pretty much the whole deck stays the same, right? You play less Shenri because you have no way of being able to search for it efficiently. But I guess one big impact to this deck is that its early game is diminished, or not really diminished, but not as good as it was before. But then again, there's a lot of grade 3 ride up decks anyways that you don't really need too much of a grade 2 game. Raziel rides up, all the D ones rides up. Like the only other deck that you really need to worry about is Luard, but I think a lot of people are jumping off Luard, jumping on Jejuled, Blangmire, Zorga, Raziel. There's a lot of D oriented decks that may just overpower Luard, right? And we've seen that. We've seen the trends, and that's pretty much how people are going at the moment. But otherwise, everything else pretty much stayed the same. And obviously, you get the crest. If you guys haven't got your crest yet, hit up your local stores for your start decks, and you kind of need this. Otherwise, your deck is illegal. Then looking at the Orfist Masque list. So this is probably one of the more interesting talks. It's pretty much equivalent to how Orfist Masque was before, except for this card, right? The Energy Blast 3 Cardinal. To be honest, I don't know how this card made it so that Orfist Masque is that impactful, right? Like, sure, play on Rearguard if you're Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight. You can Energy Blast 3 top 7, search for a grade 3 world card, and then just add it to hand. Like, I guess it bumps the consistency of Orfist Masque, and you know, you're still hitting like 5 attacks, which is like pretty big as well. But everything else is kind of the same, right? So maybe it's the consistency buff that this deck needed to be able to, I guess, stay in the meta, right? Obviously, if your deck is inconsistent, not being able to ride up to your Orfist Masque feels really bad. But yeah, you're playing like Masque, this, or I guess you can search a grade 3 order or a world, right? So yeah, maybe it's just the consistency buff that makes this deck really good. But then again, you know, Jovan is a really good player. I've seen him play too many times now. But yeah, congratulations for coming third. And in fourth place, we have a Blangmire. This is probably one of the most solved decks, maybe. I could be wrong. Obviously, the deck plays 4 of the grade 3 that essentially binds itself. Valkyria to fuel Soul. And because you're fueling Soul, then you're obviously playing the grade 3 order, because essentially it becomes a card that you can call out from Soul by Soul Charging 1, and the unit that gets called out gets +5. You're playing the grade 2 Cycler card. Sure, maybe like the on place, you know, you can CB1, call something to Rearguard, Soul Charge 1, which might be impactful because sometimes you essentially need a card in Soul and you have no way of fishing it out. So Persona Riding, you know, you have multiple Persona Ride, four Persona Ride targets to be able to get there, and you know, maybe that's all, you know, Blangmire really needs, right? Playing 4 Swirlers, pretty much if you get like triple Swirler in the back and your opponent can't deal with it and you just Soul Charge a bunch, you use the Divine skill, your opponent's dead. Like, there's no guarding the rear guards, right? So yeah, very cool. Not running the anti-ride, anti-stride, which, to be honest, like, I think it's suitable not to run it. Then this is the top 8 Varga list, so big shout out to Jonathan Haptism, my boy, coming top 8, qualifying for the Indonesia finals. So I think only 32 players, 4 seasons, I think top 8 make it. One and done, as he says, with Varga. This is a pretty interesting. So you're running the, is it the Youth Quake? What's it called? The Manga Sky Dragon, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds, you know, looking player on a dragon. Using the grade 1 to essentially alternate the ride deck cost to Soul Blast 1. But I guess it's like, how important is the 1 card, right? Which I think might be important, especially in the early game. Otherwise, like, the deck is kind of similar. You're maxing out on Boulder Axe, the broken grade 2. You're dropping 1 of the grade 3, I guess. You're running 2 of this grade 2, essentially when it gets retired. Then you retire one of your opponent's rear guards. So I guess you have a control aspect in this deck to be able to target back row. Because obviously, you know, front row is getting diminished anyways. And then 4 of this insane grade 1 that really fuels for Varga. Also playing 1 copy of the grade 2 Blitz Order, being able to just fish something back is always good, right? Extra shield, always good. And yeah, opting to play Chalice, and I think I agree with that as well. So yeah, big shout out to Haptism again, very cool showing. Then we had the Chiho Cup. So teams tournament, we have the top 8 results. A lot of diversity here. We see like Zorga's here. EVA is, you know, a rising deck at the moment. Another Zorga. Morphonica, Youthberg Greedon, Fennel, like Sarah Snow. Was it Lascaria? Lascaria, lots of Fennel, and Mygos, right? Then looking at, I guess, you know, the top winner decks. So I think the winners were Blangmire, Zorga, and Shunui, I think, if I'm not mistaken. We'll check out VG Paradox's website. So if you guys don't know about this website, it's in the comments below. vg-paradox.com. This is pretty much my go-to place for pretty much anything. You know, deck list wise, JP side is really important to kind of keep up with what they're doing on their side, because likely than not, it'll probably translate into the English side. So the first place team brought Blangmire, Zorga, Welstra. Second was Prism, and Laria. Third was Shunui, Luard, and Razel. And then fourth was Mygo, Fennel, and Blangmire. So I guess looking at Blangmire, very similar to the list that we saw in Indonesia, except not running Brainwash Swirler, playing the anti-ride, opting to run the new cycler instead of the old one, bumping up one of the orders from 3 to 4, and that's pretty much the deck, right? So a little bit of moving parts there from differing lists. Then looking at the Zorga list. So I think Zorga, one of the big factors that people aren't bringing Zorga is because of time, right? 25 minutes or 30 minutes with double loss straight up, no extra turns, may not be enough time for, you know, the average player. But I feel that, you know, if you're playing Zorga and you are like a one trick with it, or you're specializing in it, I think you'll just like churn through and you'll be fine on this deck, right? This deck is pretty interesting though. No roaming prison, but you're opting to run 4 of the new grade 2, which essentially acts as a roaming prison. I think that makes sense purely because you then have space for other guardable cards, right? You also have like a bunch of like different orders, so you're still playing 3 Cloud Miasma, 1 extra drive order, and one of the new one, Bracing Angel Ladder. Bracing Angel Ladder is actually recyclable, which is pretty funny. So yeah, like lots of, you know, different varieties, and I think like Zorga is like one of those decks where you can kind of play different ways, and you know you'll be pretty favored, right? Like it's a very flexible deck, lots of moving parts, and you can interchange a lot of those moving parts as well. Then looking at the Laria deck, Laria seems to be a deck that just randomly pops up every now and again. I think last week we had one as well. The new grade 2 really makes Laria good because you're able to essentially call back stuff. And then essentially like all your consistency boost cards, like this one, Cambos 1, bottom deck, grab 2 Blitz orders back, really strong at the end of turn. This is already a searcher. So Laria actually got a lot of good buffs in set 2, which I think makes it, you know, pretty formidable, right? I think also we do have the Welstra deck that came first. So this one, pretty straightforward. This is probably like, yeah, very cookie cutter. I think it's already pretty solved, except for this new grade 1. This new grade 1 came from set 2. So essentially what it says is that, I guess it's continuous, plus 5k if your order zone has at least 2 set orders. When it boosts, then plus 5. End of battle that this is boosted by something is boosted by this unit. If you have a set order, you can put this into soul, top 5, choose a grade 2 or higher, set order, and add it to hand. So again, another consistency buff card that I think makes Welstra slightly better. Being able to find essentially any of these instead of hard drawing them is always really good, right? I guess that was the same with what was it? Orfist Masque. So, you know, these brand gate decks just need consistency to be able to get to essentially what they want to achieve, right? And then the last deck I wanted to talk about is Fennel. And Fennel, I think people are catching on. This deck is actually really strong. And I don't know whether it's because it's in the current format at the moment that makes it strong, or, you know, people just found it undiscovered, right? I think this grade 2 that you get from the Rook of Force, the Trick or Treat set, along with, you know, new Fennel is just a really strong package already. But then, like, you know, I don't think there's anything different about this deck. So I don't understand what makes it so strong. Like, you're running like one copy of this grade 1, which came from set 2, the energy blasts, but otherwise everything is from set 4. Like, if someone knows why this deck is strong, like, please let me know in the comments, because I really want to know why this deck is suddenly so strong and we never saw it like ages back, right? Like, I don't understand. Like, Fennel 16 orders, you know, sure, you get like a bunch of stuff working, you know, how Fennel's supposed to be ran, but what makes it so strong now than what it was Shunui meta, or like, I don't know, just post Luan meta, set 1 meta? Like, what makes this so strong now, right? Maybe it's like a meta call, right? It's a meta call that people are bringing it, maybe. So yeah, if it is, then, you know, good on them. I guess it only makes sense, right? If it wasn't good before, it is good now. It has to be like a meta pick, well, like an anti-meta pick. So yeah, and that is pretty much it for all of the results this past weekend. I will be releasing a few videos coming up soon for the introduction of set 1, Fated Clash. Lots of deck profiles, a lot of comprehensive guides, and I think, you know, it's a good time to kind of see what, you know, the best decks are in the format. So, you know, hit that subscribe button for all notifications on new videos that come out on this channel, because I think in the next couple of weeks we'll see a lot of bangers on this channel. If you guys like this video, pop a like, comment down below what you guys think of all the results over the past weekends. I think there's a few Springfest events coming up soon, a lot of WGPs coming up soon. So yeah, you know, looking forward to, I guess, seeing the results. And if you guys haven't already, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.